Hey guys, my name is Sonia Jones if you're new here. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about how creepy men can be. If you can relate to this video, then you're most likely a woman who lives on Earth and you understand what it's like. This was right after I had graduated from college. I was renting a room from friends and I lived with my boyfriend at the time, now my husband, and then our friends, and then some other people. It was in the town that we went to college in. So I had always felt safe. I never felt like it was in a safe neighborhood or anything. Towards the end of the semester, I started noticing that a truck would randomly slow down right by the house whenever I pulled up. Thought, oh, okay, that's kind of weird, but didn't think anything of it. A couple days later, I see the same truck and I had pulled up and the truck drives right next to me. So like this is me in my car. The truck drives right next to me right here and just stops. I can't see who's driving the vehicle because their windows are tinted so dark. And it's like during the day, so that tells you how dark their windows were. I just got a unsettling feeling and I was like, I'm not getting out of my car until you drive off because this is weird. So I had my doors locked. I sat in my car, and then maybe like what felt like 2 minutes, it was probably like 30 seconds, they sat there and they drove slowly away, like they were gonna watch me get out of my car or something, or so I thought. I just had a weird feeling. I watched them get to the stop sign and I waited for them to turn off because I was like, you are just giving me a very uncomfortable feeling. Another time something happened, just pulled up and a car had parked. It was on the same road, right? I parked up here and the car parked way like down here a little bit. It was within walking distance, but on the opposite street. I waited for people to get out, but they never turned their car off. They never got out of their car after having the truck incident. I was like, that's really weird. Like, I'm not getting out. I don't feel comfortable getting out. And it was dark. I had just gotten off my shift late at night because I was working at a restaurant at the time. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. That's weird. Maybe they're on their phone or something, but I don't know. I just would rather be safe than sorry. So I texted my friend and she came out and walked with me from my car to the house. And then the third time, I had again gotten off late from work. I think we closed at like 9, so like 9:30 usually was when we got done closing and everything, so I'd probably get home like 9:40ish because it wasn't that far of a drive. I got home, my friends were out of town, and my boyfriend was at rehearsal for a show, and so as far as I knew, I was going to be the only one there. One of my roommates was actually there, but I didn't realize that because of, I'm going to tell you. I pull up to the house and there's not any cars like parked in the front or on the side like normally. So I just pull up to the side. I'm like getting my purse out. I lock my door and all of a sudden I see a car like zooming down the road, like zooming fast. Because of the other two incidents, I was like, I feel like I need to run. So I literally ran to the house. I didn't get inside in time, but I happened to make it to the gate, like into the inside. I had closed the wooden gate. I was bent down looking through the little crack because the car that had just speeding down, it had stopped right beside where like I had just gotten out of my car. It was in front of my car though. It looked like it was 4 dudes because they had rolled their windows down this time, like they were looking for me. I couldn't hear them talking or anything. And thankfully, they didn't see me and they didn't try to come inside the house or anything. They drove off. I started having a panic attack. I called my mom and told her what just happened, and she was like, you need to call the cops, like let them know what happened. I didn't have a license plate number or anything, so like I didn't really have anything that I could report. I still called them though, just for sake of mine, because I was just freaking out. One of my roommates was actually there with his girlfriend at the time, and he came out of his room and was like, what's going on? And I was like, this just happened to me. It was really scary and creepy and And so I had already called the cops at this point, so I didn't realize somebody was in the house and it was my roommate, and so I had started freaking out because I thought maybe that they had gotten in the house somehow. And so I have like locked myself in my room trying to like breathe. It was just like really scary. And shortly after that, I moved out. You just don't know what people are up to. There's so much human trafficking. There's so much just horrible stuff going on in the world. And so I was scared. Again, I couldn't tell you like a physical description of them because it was dark and I just saw them roll the windows down. It was just really scary. And so that is why now I am extremely cautious whenever I get in and out of my car. If Dakota runs into the store to get something, I always lock the door with me and Cora sitting there. I just don't trust people, especially men. So continuing, I worked at Starbucks for a bit. Working in the food service industry, whether you're a waitress, a barista, whatever, like there's gonna be people who hit on you. And I feel like that goes, for men too. Like I feel like it's less likely to happen, but I feel like for women, it happens all the time. For some reason, some men just think when you're nice to them and you're doing your job that you're flirting with them, and it's like, no, I'm getting paid to talk to you, and also I'm like a decent human being, and so I'm gonna treat you with kindness unless you give me a reason not to. There was this customer, he was one of our regulars, and I had never talked to him like more than, how are you doing? What can I get for you today? So there was one day where I asked, how's your day going? Like, how are you doing today? He had told me that his daughter, who's a freshman in college, had gotten in a car accident, and her boyfriend was driving. Like, she'd just been with this guy for not very long. He was driving her car. They got in an accident. She was okay, thankfully. He was okay. Like, nobody was hurt, but they were going to have to, pay for this car to get fixed, and then her car too. And so I was just talking to him about that, listening more so than anything. And I was like, well, I'm so sorry about that. Like, I hope, your day gets better, and I hope you guys get everything resolved. And he was just like, thank you so much. Like, I really appreciate that. Like, it was like a genuine conversation. And I didn't think anything of it because, like, that's being a human being, having a genuine conversation. Later on that day, this man brings me a letter, and in the letter, he was basically confessing that, he had always had a little crush on me, that he was very shy, and he didn't know how to go about asking, and that he just thought that I was the sweetest and that I really made his day, like every single day. And he wanted to ask me on a date, but he didn't know how to because he was shy. And so if I wanted to, here was his number and I could call him. And, some people are probably like, oh my God, but that's so sweet. Like, that's like, what? That's wholesome. This man was definitely older than my parents, okay? And his daughter was in college. Like, so his daughter was closer in age to me than he was. The fact that I had only had, one full-on conversation with this man, it was very much like, what? Very, very creepy. He came in the next day and like tried to make eye contact with me, and I was just like, nope. And now, the most recent stuff. We're living in an apartment complex that shall not be named, and they have contractors who are renovating individual apartments. Well, some of the contractors live in the complex right across from us. These are all maximum 2-bedroom apartments, right? So, pretty sure in our contract it says only up to 4 people max can be in the apartments. There will be 6 to 8 men in there at a time. And the only reason I know this is because they will all come up one by one up the stairs and in there. They make me very uncomfortable because they will just stare at me. And I think regardless of what you wear, like, it doesn't matter. I understand if I had something a little bit more revealing on, like if you glance and you're like, because you see skin and you're like, oh, and then you look away. That's different, okay? I feel like everybody does that. If you see somebody, like you're glancing around, you see a lot of skin, you're like, what? And then you just look away. I don't think wearing, more revealing clothing warrants harassment or anything, by all means. Not at all. That's not what I'm saying. So one day, my husband had his show. I got dressed up, I did my hair and my makeup, and I looked cute. Like I had a little romper on. And again, these men, every single day, if I come out when they're up and they don't say hi or anything, they have said hi in the past, and I said hi because I was trying to be neighborly, but then that made them even creepier, like, hey. Anyways, I was wearing, a romper, and I had my daughter in my hands, and because I had forgotten something upstairs, so I had started going downstairs, and then I had to come back up to grab my wallet. One of the guys had said, hey. I just, didn't react. If anything, I was like, I know that you see me with my husband, right? I'm married. Second of all, that's not how you get women. You don't catcall them or whistle at them or just stare at them. That's disgusting. Women are not objects for your pleasure. Like, we are human beings. It just like bothered me so much. And the fact that they live right across from us, they're contractors that are being paid to be here by the complex. Like, I know I'm probably gonna hit a comment like, have you sent a complaint or anything? I personally don't know if, you know, they're friends with the people who in the complex or anything. I don't know if they're like related. I don't know anything about that, and so I don't want like more issues. So I'm going to continue ignoring it for the most part and then giving, you know, ugly looks when it needs to be done, because if you look at women like they're a piece of meat for you to devour, you are what is wrong with men. You are. I'm not saying all men. I'm married to a man. Trust me, I know that there are decent, good, kind, respectful men out there. I'm just saying that a majority of men are not. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you can relate to any of this, I am so sorry. If you have your own story, you want to share it, go ahead and leave a comment down below. If you want to stick around, subscribe to my channel, please do that. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, guys.